It's proven that this league is against Caitlin Clark and the Fever. They hate him. I mean, they hate him with a passion. I mean, they hate him so much, they want to hurt him. Physically inflict harm on these women, bro.
I'm not even going to say Indiana Fever fans. Caitlin Clark fans are crashing out at a different level. And I don't blame them. I don't.
The Indiana Fever front office is caught red-handed, lying to reporters.
WNBA is in full panic mode after Indiana Fever fans boycotted the league over the Caitlin Clark injury scandal.
Fans, y'all, we might have a case here. We might have a case to sue not only the Indiana Fever, but the WNBA for misleading us.
How pathetic can it get? Gaslighting fans with false comeback promises just to boost ticket sales. Their greed left fans scammed, petitions filed, and even investigations now stalling in chaos.
In what seems to be a strategic ploy to drive ticket sale and merchandise sales by suggesting that Caitlin Clark's return was on the horizon.
Now let's talk about who we're dealing with. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's not just some rookie you plug in and hope she develops. She's been called a billion-dollar entity.
Well, that injury, the new injury, yet another injury. The Indiana Fever's got a billion-dollar entity on their team. $1 billion damn dollars.
That's not me exaggerating. That's literally how commentators have described her. Think about it. One player being compared to the kind of financial engine you'd normally only hear about in the NBA. That's how massive she is. And yet, despite carrying the kind of weight most leagues dream about, she hasn't stepped on a WNBA court since July 15th, 2025. Why? Because of a groin injury that has now taken on the form of a never-ending mystery novel.
The Indiana Fever have got themselves a problem. They got themselves a real problem after, of course, we found out that Caitlin Clark suffered yet another injury literally 2 weeks to today ago.
And here's where the fun begins. Every week since July 15th, the WNBA and the Indiana Fever have dangled promises of her return like some cheap carrot on a stick. She's almost back, they'd say. She's looking good. And the fans? Well, they kept buying tickets, they kept streaming the games, and they kept filling arenas. Except none of it was real. It was smoke and mirrors. Because instead of Clark's grand comeback, all people got were contradictory injury reports and hidden setbacks that made less sense than the plot twists in a bad Netflix show.
Whoever is representing Caitlin is going to win. Sophie Cunningham is going to win. Everybody's going to win. Because at the end of the day, we know there is valuable and real deal evidence proving that this league is against Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
And as if that wasn't enough, here comes the kicker. While everyone was waiting for Clark to return, Sophie Cunningham, the one player on the team who had the grit, the physicality, and yes, the enforcer energy, goes down with a season-ending knee injury. Perfect timing, right?
What happened to Sophie Cunningham and all of the other damn Fever players? Oh, it's getting real. Oh, it's definitely getting real.
If this league were trying to write a comedy sketch about how to shoot yourself in the foot, this would be the punchline. Sophie's injury stripped the Fever of the only player who could absorb some of that physical play, the one who could take hits so Clark didn't always have to. Without her, the Fever looked like a car missing its engine.
This is why they cannot get ahead, because they are not credible. They are not credible reporters. They are not credible at all.
And oh, we're not done. Because buried underneath all the nonsense, fans then learned Clark wasn't just dealing with the groin issue. No, she also had a hidden ankle bone bruise conveniently picked up during the Phoenix Mercury game in early August. So not only were fans lied to about the groin situation, they were being strung along while another injury was hidden from them. Lawsuits, petitions, boycotts, pick your poison, they're all now looming over the league. The Indiana Fever have somehow managed to turn Caitlin Clark's absence into a full-blown public relations nightmare. And you know what? They earned it.
She got hurt around the 7th. You knew prior to you going to ESPN that Caitlin Clark wasn't coming back when you said she was going to come back. You're lying. You're lying and you're misleading, and it's looking real spooky. And I'm happy the fans are standing up.
Now, Let's break down the actual injury chaos, because this thing deserves its own spotlight. It all started July 15th when Clark's groin injury benched her indefinitely. That alone was enough to spark debate. Should she even return this season, or would it be smarter to hold her out until 2026 to make sure she's fully ready? Reasonable question, right? But no, instead of honest answers, what fans got were breadcrumbs of lies and contradictions.
They had already knew Caitlin Clark wasn't going to play in that damn All-Star game, right? Knowing what we know now, they could have told us immediately Caitlin wasn't going to play. But they waited like 3-4 days for the All-Star game. Now, I was set to go to the All-Star game, but I said, you know what? No, I'm going to just boycott it because I just didn't like how Caitlin Clark was getting abused.
Then came the Phoenix Mercury game on August 7th. Suddenly, reports started flying around that Clark had picked up another injury. Except, wait for it, footage from that very game shows her walking just fine. No limp, no sign of trouble. So naturally, fans called it out as a cover-up. And let's be real, when you start treating your fan base like they're dumb, don't be shocked when they bite back.
Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for the Indiana Fever since July 15th due to a groin injury. Yes, we know that. While fans would love to see her back on the court, there's a legitimate chance she's held out until 2026.
Later, the hidden truth finally came out. Clark actually had a bone bruise on her left ankle. That little tidbit wasn't mentioned until way after the fact, conveniently revealed when the fan frustration was already boiling over. You can't make this stuff up. The one player who's supposed to be the face of the league, the one person who's single-handedly responsible for ticket surges and TV ratings, and the team can't even be transparent about what's going on with her health.
You got this video right here that a lot of you have already seen. I just saw it in the last couple of days of Caitlin getting stepped on by a coach right there on the left.
Stepped on by the coach, and I think she's going to be all right based upon the grin on her face. But
the left foot.
Meanwhile, as Clark was sidelined and Sophie Cunningham was now gone with her torn right knee, the Fever scrambled to patch the roster. They signed Shaw Petty to a 7-day hardship contract and waived Cairo Lambert. That's where we're at, the most hyped team in the league now holding itself together with temporary contracts and duct tape. No surprise their record slid to 19-16, which looks nothing like the playoff contender people expected if Clark had been playing.
And I really feel like we will just get the similar outcome that we had with Caitlin Clark this year in terms of she's just going to get beat up on. And now this team is already injured and you're already not playing.
But the drama doesn't stop with injuries. Nope. It goes straight to the coaching staff and front office. Because if fans weren't already furious enough, the way this team has handled information makes it look like they've been auditioning for reality TV. Let's start with head coach Stephanie White. On August 12th, during an ESPN broadcast, she straight up told the world that Clark was close to returning. Sounds exciting, right? Except there's just one problem. Clark had already picked up another injury before that date, so either White had no clue what was going on with her own star player, or she flat out misled everyone. And honestly, neither option looks good.
The team is a mess, the Indiana Fever, right? They have all these injuries. This is not the complete team. If Caitlin Clark does come back, the question would remain, is she actually 100%? So now you're going to potentially have Caitlin Clark go out there.
Then, when reporters pressed her on it later, White got snippy and fired back. Do you see her at practice? Then why are you asking? Oh, I don't know, maybe because she's the biggest star the WNBA has ever had and fans are spending their rent money to see her? Maybe that's why. But sure, let's throw some attitude instead of accountability.
Because you won't be open and you won't be honest. Y'all are talking about Caitlin Clark coming back. We've got two different Fever reporters, both reporting the injury did not and the injury did hamper her coming out.
And then we've got assistant coach Brianne January. Reports surfaced that she may have actually stepped on Clark's foot during practice, worsening her injury. Now, did the front office admit to this? Of course not. They denied it, brushed it off, and went right back to pretending everything was fine. Except it wasn't fine, and fans noticed. It gets better, though. Fever Beat reporter Scott Agnes somehow thought it was a good idea to laugh while reporting on Clark's injury, because nothing says professionalism like chuckling at the fact that the league's most valuable player is hurt. That little performance did wonders for the trust between the team, the media, and the fans. If by wonders you mean lighting it on fire and tossing it out the window.
I hate to do this to him, but we need to boycott Scott Atkins, bro, because you is part of the problem. You're lying to the people, and you're supposed to be looked upon as a person we can count on for credibility and to keep it transparent with the fans.
Even within the media, nobody could agree on what was true. One reporter claimed the ankle injury was the reason Clark's comeback was delayed. Another insisted it wasn't. So which one is it? If the people covering the team can't even align their stories, then it's no wonder fans are calling this entire thing a circus.
And they're a bunch of clowns, a bunch of bozos. You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional.
And fans have had enough. They don't want vague timelines, they don't want cryptic one-liners from coaches, and they definitely don't want reporters laughing in their faces. Some are even demanding that Clark stop trusting the Fever's medical staff altogether. They're saying she should head back to Iowa, go to her old University of Iowa doctors, and get evaluated by people who actually care about her career instead of the team's ticket sales. And honestly, who can blame them?
The Indiana Fever know people have been spending money on tickets and travel and blah, 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 thinking that Caitlin Clark was her anticipated comeback. People tuning in and showing up at games, they need to understand.
When you look at all of this together, injuries hidden, timelines fumbled, coaches snapping at reporters, assistant coaches accused of stepping on players, and media members laughing like it's a joke, you don't even need to wonder why the fan base has turned on the league. They've been strung along, lied to, and treated like wallets instead of supporters. And now the WNBA is dealing with the fallout of exactly what they created.
You guys look completely incompetent and unprofessional. The way this has been handled, oh, it's a joke. It's a joke.
So here's where it really starts to sting. Fans aren't just annoyed anymore, they're flat out furious. The outrage exploded when people realized they'd been strung along for weeks with false promises about Caitlin Clark's return. It wasn't just a scheduling mishap or a misunderstanding. No, this was fans investing real time, real money, and real emotions into a comeback that never actually happened. Imagine planning your entire month around seeing Clark back on the court, only to find out that all those hopeful updates were just smoke and mirrors. That's not just disappointing, that feels like being conned.
To present a facade of hopeful updates masking the true status of a beloved player's injury. Now, this is the truth. Oh my.
And the stories keep piling up. We're not talking about a couple of angry tweets here, we're talking about fans who spent thousands of dollars, yes, thousands, on flights, hotels, and tickets. One supporter even went all out and booked first-class flights and hotel packages for a Tuesday game, expecting Clark's big return. Can you imagine dropping that kind of cash just to be crushed by cancellation rumors at the last minute? That's not just bad luck, that's betrayal. Clark supporters are now making the case that they've basically been victims of consumer deception. And honestly, how can you argue with that? People shelled out money for streaming subscriptions, merchandise, and game tickets under the belief that they were being given honest information about her return. Instead, they got vague updates, hidden injuries, and a timeline that shifted more than a politician during election season. Fans were sold a product, Caitlin Clark on the court, that never actually showed up.
All right? People have been trying to stay invested because the GOAT was supposed to be coming back.
The comparisons rolling in from fans are brutal but accurate. They've been saying watching Caitlin Clark live would be like seeing Michael Jordan in his prime, a once-in-a-lifetime moment. You don't just casually brush that off. People feel like they were robbed of something historic, like they bought tickets to see the Beatles reunite and got a local cover band instead. That's how big the disappointment is. The deeper issue is that this isn't just about one player, it's about the system itself. Critics are pointing out that the WNBA has never turned a profit in its history, not once. So of course, they leaned into exploiting Caitlin Clark's name to prop up short-term revenue instead of building sustainable credibility with fans. But here's the thing. When you sell false hope and your lies get exposed, it doesn't just cost you money, It cost you trust.
Pattern of communication between league officials and team medical reports raises concerns of coordinated misrepresentation rather than independent factual reporting. This coordinated message suggests an underlining.
This scandal is pulling back the curtain on everything that's wrong with the league. Lack of transparency, unsafe officiating, poor medical oversight, and outright fan exploitation. And all of this is happening while the league is busy patting itself on the back for championing growth and equality. It's hard to preach about integrity when your biggest star is being mishandled, misled, and covered up like some side project. Which brings us to the fallout. Because make no mistake, the fallout is already here. The Caitlin Clark scandal has left the WNBA in a trust crisis. Fans feel duped, betrayed, and taken advantage of. From the injury mismanagement to the false return, dates to the hidden medical details, the credibility of both the Fever and the league has been shattered. Once trust is gone, it's almost impossible to get it back.
This is when I believe she got hurt. Well after that game. Guys, it is definitely, we can't trust them. They lose all trust.
And the storm clouds aren't just from angry fans online. With petitions, lawsuits, and boycotts growing by the day, the league is staring down both a legal battle and a PR war at the same time. That's the nightmare scenario for any sports league, when the fans you depend on are now the ones trying to take you down. Here's the kicker though, unless the WNBA makes a drastic shift toward transparency and professional leadership, this isn't going to end anytime soon. They risk alienating the exact fan base that Caitlin Clark brought in, the casual viewers, the new subscribers, the sold-out ticket buyers. The same people who fueled her rise are now the ones leading the charge against the league. And if they walk away, what's left? Subscribe now because this Caitlin Clark scandal is only getting messier, and you won't want to miss what drops next.